Hi, my name is Jesse, and I'm going to show you how to simply save an object in Unity. It should be a very easy tutorial, and yep, so let's get started. I set up the project as simply as I could. There's only 3 objects in here. You have your main camera for displaying this, your directional light just for some lighting, and a spinner. So what's the point of the spinner? The spinner is going to... This is the spinner code and the script attached to it. It's going to invoke repeating every 1.5 seconds. It's going to spawn a cube, and then every frame is going to rotate. So what we end up with is this. Spawned its first cube, spawned its next one, and that's all it's going to do. Simple enough, right? So when you close the scene, reopen it, all your data is gone. Let's fix that. The first thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want some interface between your objects and your file system, right? So we're going to call that thing SaveController. So let's create a new game object and call it SaveController. And then we'll create a new script. Create C# script SaveController. I'll take that, attach it to our SaveController, and let's open it up. First thing that we want to do is, it's a pretty common practice, I think, is declaring an instance of this that anything can use. Okay, that way you don't have to drag references around or search the scene for an object. Basically, you just make a public static. Sorry about that, static, and then you create your awake method, and you say instance equals this. What this allows for is in your spinner class, you don't have to have any reference to this thing. You could just go in here and say SaveController.instance, and this will be set up in the awake method. And since we're in the start method, that reference will have already been set up. And you can call whatever you want on it. There isn't anything here yet, but let's just show for an example. We'll look void test method, right? Save that, go to spinner. That method's there. Great. Okay. All right, so now we have easy access to this method. We're going to go clean these up because we don't want these. And let's just change test method to save. And then public object load. What do you need at these levels? So what are we going to save? Well, first off, you kind of need a place to save it. You could do some manipulation here, but you don't really need to. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, what do we want the file name to be? And then you have a location and a file name to reference your object again, which will be the responsibility of whatever's passing this in, right? And then you're going to need an object of some data, right? And we're going to use an object here instead of a defined class. That way it's reusable. So our spinner class gets passed something into it and gets something back out and just cast that to whatever it is. So the first thing that you want to do is we're going to use, we're going to define our file path. So we're going to say our file path equals application.persistent data path. So what persistent data path does is it saves it to, I forget what it's called, this app storage. Basically, if you were to delete your game and then reinstall your game, this would still exist. I forget where it's at, but okay. We're going to take and add our / and then we're going to say file name. Now we have a file path. We're going to open up a file stream. Oopsie daisy. File stream. That's going to use system.io. And we're going to create a new one. And we're going to say, I want you to save to this file path with file mode.create. Then, well, this is up for interpretation. What we're going to do is we're going to use a binary formatter. Binary formatter. BF. We're going to grab that. Equals new binary formatter. Then you say bf.serialize. What are you going to serialize? You're going to serialize to your file stream the data you were passed in. And then fs.close. Great. When you run this code, whatever object you pass in will be saved to this file location. Now to load it, not too bad, right? So you say, where's the file that I want to load? String your file name. then what we're gonna do, if we're gonna check, we gotta check to make sure the file exists, right? Or else when the load first starts, it won't, it will break. So we're gonna find file path. Our file path, we already have it up here. Should abstract this out into another method, but we're not gonna do that. File path. If it doesn't exist, we're gonna return null, right? Otherwise, we're gonna open up a new file stream. File path. And we're gonna try, our file mode's going to be to open the file. Okay, now we have our file stream. We're gonna have to get another binary formatter. And then we're going to say, we're gonna get our deserialized object. It's equal to bf.deserialize the file stream. Close our file stream and return our deserialized object. Now at this point you have a save and a load method that's open to anywhere in your game that you want to save something to. And now you could just pass in an object and it's reusable. So now our spinner class will be able to use this. Okay, I've went ahead and I've done a few things that are kind of boring that you might not want to see me code, but I'll go over them very quickly. Okay, I've added a few save classes. So when we were saving, we're using an object. Well, what the spinner save class is going to do is it's going to have a list. This is going to be a hard type class. It's going to have a list of position save class. What is position save class? Well, all it is an X position and a Y position. If you were doing a 3D game, you'd want to have a Z position in here too. Or if you wanted to save the rotation, you'd want to set those things up in here as well. And in vector3 extensions, this is a quick little way to take a vector3 and turn it into a position save class so that you can then in turn put it in your spinner save class into cube positions without having to map it every time. So let's do it. Let's go to our spinner and say every time it spawns a cube, let's save the state. So let's call it. Let's create a new method called save state. Go in here, generate method. And what do we want to do? Well, let's get our object, get position or get save class equals get save class. And now, so this method's responsibility is to create a save class, which we don't want an object. We want a spinner save class. So we'll go var spinner save class equals new spinner save class, and let's return it. That's not all we need to do, but at this point everything will compile and we're good. So what do we want to save? We want to say for each cube that we've instantiated. So up here, we're spawning a cube. We're setting its parent to this so it spins, and then we're adding it to our spawned cubes. Okay. So for each var spawned cube and our spawned cubes, we want to take those and say, well, we should probably initialize this list. Well, let's go into it. Let's go into our spinner save class. Oh, it's already initialized. Oh, geez. Good forward thinking. Go back to our spinner and say spinner save class, cube positions, add new position save class. And we'll say spawned cube. Oops. We don't want to do this. We take it back. We want to say spawn, because we already did this work, all right? Remember? To position, or not this, not the cube, but it's transforms.position, which is a vector3, to position save class. Right, so now every time we spawn a new cube, we'll get the save class. It'll go through, get all the spawned cubes, and return them in this nice little bundled up package for us. And then all we'll say is SaveController, which we set up earlier, .instance, .save. What do we want the identifier to be here? We'll just say spinner, whatever, spinner.dat. And then we'll just pass in our get save class. And this should work perfectly. All right, so the last thing that we need to do is when the game starts, we need to load all of the information that we have saved to file, which should be pretty easy. So let's just say load state. We'll create this little function. It wants to autocorrect or autofill for me. Generate the method. So we have a spinner.dat down here. Let's pull this up. Let's pull this up into a variable so we can save location equals spinner.dat. That way we can use it again when we're trying to load. Save location. All right, so all we need to do is get our object. So we'll say object SaveController.instance. Well, we can't call it object to, I don't know, use. That works good for me. We're gonna load, because it's just an object, we're gonna cast it in a second. So we're gonna say save location, and it's that simple. We've already done all the groundwork. Now we have an object to use. All we have to do is cast this to our spinner save class. And then we have, we'll name this spinner save class. Now everything that we had about the state when we stopped playing now exists within this class. So we're going to say for each var cube location. Because now it's up to this spinner class to take this information that we saved and consume it in a way that allows the game state to still be the way that it was when you stopped playing. Right? Okay. So in spinner save class dot cube positions, we're going to say, well, now we're at this issue. We want to reuse this code, right? But we don't have a way to do that. So let's take this, all of this, pull it out and do a function. Extract a method. This is going to be called spawn cube as well, which we could use spawn cube, put that up here. And this should probably go in here as well. We'll just save the state. Actually, let's not do that. I'm worried that maybe when we call spawn cube, it'll overwrite the file that we've already read from, and it should actually be closed at this point. You know what? Let's do it. Let's see what happens. So load state. So for each cube location, we're going to spawn a cube. Our cube location is a position save class. We don't really like that, but we're not gonna be smart about it like we were with the toPosition save class function. We're just gonna say vector or position equals new vector 3. We're gonna take cube locations.x position and then cube location.y position. Take that position, we're gonna spawn it there. So that's it. That's all it takes. So we're gonna spawn the cube for every location that was saved. So let's go into our game. Look at that. We saved it before. Everything has been brought back. So what we're going to see when it spawns the next cube, we're going to stop it. We saw a cube right here. I don't know. We could probably take a picture, but we're going to start it again. No errors, and it's just going to keep doing that. That's it. This video was brought to you by Sherburia. My name is Jesse, and my inspiration for this tutorial is to show the world how I overcame obstacles while making an indie game. Not every problem has a direct correlation on YouTube, but hopefully that gap becomes a little slimmer when I finish this series. If you like my voice better than the hundreds of other content creators out there, hit that subscribe button and smash that like button. There will be plenty of other tutorials in this series. Stay tuned.